Hi, this is Chris and welcome to the third video in the series of Taiji basic exercises. Exercises that can be done at home in your living room. In the previous video, number 2, we were looking at the bow stance and stability and movement in the bow stance, and also as well looking at the principle of alignment. Now in this video, what we're going to do is we're going to introduce now the importance of the center, especially the hips and the waist area, what the Chinese call the Qua. And in Taiji, the waist area, the center of the body, is very important in relation to the dynamic of Tai Chi. And what we're also going to do is do a couple of exercises that are going to help you actually obtain a wee bit of strength and also flexibility in this central area, especially the hips, but also to get a feel for the movement of the center when we're doing movement in Tai Chi. And again, it doesn't require a lot of space to do this. This is what we say in Tai Chi is called single posture training, and you don't require a lot of room in relation to doing these exercises. So as always, what I would recommend before you do any Tai Chi exercise is to do a warm-up first of all. We've not got time, I'm afraid, to do a warm-up session in this video. But if you'd like to do a warm-up first of all, you can go to my channel on YouTube, Hermitage Taiji, and there's a short video on how to warm up, and you can do that when you follow me in the video, do a warm-up first, and then come back to this video. Okay, so first of all, the waist area, from about here to here, we would call the waist. But the Chinese have a word, they call it the Qua, K-U-A, and it refers basically to the left and right hip joints and the pelvic girdle in between. And the movement, the dynamic of these hip joints and the pelvis and the connection with the ground and also the knees is a really important part of Tai Chi. It's one of the real foundation stones of Tai Chi. So we're going to work on this today. So the first thing we're going to do is just introduce a simple movement principle that's used in Tai Chi, using the hip joints and moving the waist, moving the center. So the first thing I'd like you to do is just take a wide step, as wide as feels comfortable, certainly wider than shoulder width. Have the toes pointing outwards slightly and make sure the knees are in line with the toes. And what you're going to do is just bend the knees as far as is comfortable. And similar to when we were doing the standing post exercise in video 1, I want you to tuck the pelvis forward. Again, don't force it forward, just tuck it forward so it feels comfortable. Help the spine straighten and relax the shoulders. Now ideally, hopefully you should be able to stand in this posture and not feel too uncomfortable. But if it does feel too uncomfortable, basically means there's just not enough strength in the thighs and the knees. So don't worry about it. It takes a wee bit of time to develop this foundation. So if this feels too sore, bring the feet in or just take a rest and come back to it again another day when you want to try and build a wee bit of strength in this particular posture. Hopefully, ideally, you can get comfortable in a wide posture like this. Even just standing and relaxing like this, if you can, strengthens the legs and the knees. But what we're going to do is we're going to keep our feet flat on the floor, and we're going to make sure our knees keep pointing in the same direction as the toes. We don't want the knees collapsing inwards like this. We want to keep the knees still. And what we're going to do is first of all, with the right hip joint, we're going to just fold the hip joint here, making sure that the knee doesn't come in. We're just going to fold the hip joint and the pelvis will move to the right. Okay, now we're going to push off that right foot and bring the pelvis back to the center. So the weight is now centered between the 2 feet. Now we're going to swap to the left. Again, making sure that left knee doesn't collapse inwards. We're going to just sit into this left hip joint here, just fold in the left hip joint. And we're going to move back to the center. Okay, then we're going to do that again. Keeping the right knee still, folding the right hip joint, moving the pelvis to the right. Okay, pushing off that right foot, coming back to the center. Moving to the left, making sure that knee doesn't collapse inwards. Pushing off the left foot and move back to the center. So the movement of the pelvis is being directed from the movement of the hip joints. Now we're going to do that again. We're just going to collapse, we're going to relax the right hip joint, not moving the right knee. And we'll pause for a second, and you should feel the weight of the body now on that right foot. But you should also feel that there's no weight on the left foot. That should feel empty. So this is now the dynamic leg. It's just the weight of the body has rooted down through the leg, through the feet, to the floor, creating a sturdy posture. But this left leg is empty. So when we move back, folding the left hip joint and move to the left, it shifts. So now the left leg is now dynamic. The weight of the body is now screwing down into the left leg, creating a firm root, and this right leg now becomes empty. And bring the weight back to the middle. Okay, and if the legs are wee shiggle, just to loosen them off and to relax any tension in the leg muscles. So, that is the basic movement, the basic dynamic movement of shifting center by just folding the hip joints. Now when you first do this exercise, and if you're not used to doing it, because you've straightened the spine, you've tucked the pelvis forward, you're relaxing the upper body, the hips tend to take the weight of the body, which they're not used to doing. So you might find when you first do this exercise, which I'm going to show you in a second, which helps to strengthen the hip joints and also create flexibility here, it can feel a wee bit sore. So again, don't do too much. Take it nice and slow, take it nice and gentle, and it starts to feel a wee bit too sore, and just stop, have a rest, and then come back to it another day, and slowly build up the strength and flexibility in this part of the body. So I'm going to show you what's called a Qigong exercise now, and it's called the rainbow dance. And this is a good exercise actually for building strength in the center, as well as helping you to relax. So we're going to again take a wide stance, making sure that the feet are pointing in the same direction as the knees in line with the toes, tucking the pelvis forward, keeping the back straight, head up and the chin back, and breathing and relaxing. Being aware of our feet flat on the floor. If you feel as though the weight of the body is on the heels, that's perfectly natural. But what we want to do is shift the weight forward slightly, the centre of gravity forward slightly, so it's on the centre of the sole of the foot. And the way to do that is just gently bend at the waist, just bring the upper body forward slightly, keeping the head up, and you'll feel the weight of the body shift onto the centre of the flat of the foot. Now what we're going to do first of all is bring a left arm up above the head, extend the right arm, and we're going to look to the right. And what we're going to do is fold that left hip joint, bring the waist to the left. Now we're going to change to the right. We're going to bring the right hand up, folding the right hip joint. The left arm extends, right hand is above the head. Bringing the weight back to the center. Left hand comes up, folding the left hip joint, and the right hand goes out. Okay, so that's a basic introduction. I'm going to do this the other way around now. I think some people find it really easier to follow if I'm about face, as it were. So, again, feet shoulder width apart. Feet wider than shoulder width. Tucking the pelvis forward, keeping the back straight. And what we're going to do is just bring the right hand above the head, left hand extended, looking at our left hand. What we do is just fold that left hip, bring the left hand up, right hand goes out, and we look at the right hand. Shift the weight back to the center, right hand comes up, shift to the right, left hand goes back out again, shift back to the center, left hand comes up, and then shift, relax that left hip joint, and shift back to the center. Okay? So we're going to give that a wee go. Try a few repetitions. We'll try with 3 each side, and we'll see how we get on. So right hand above the head, left hand out. What we're going to do is breathe in as we bring the arm up. Breathe out as you extend the right arm and we look at the right arm. Breathe in as the right arm comes up and we shift now to the right. Breathe out as the left arm goes out. Breathing in and breathing out. breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Okay, now bring the feet in together, bring the hands together, and just rest the hands on the abdomen and just relax for a second. Now the idea is to build up sufficient strength in the hips and the central area to get a nice, smooth, fluid movement. And when you can get that, what you can do is just do the same posture again, just the hands on the hips, and what you can do is just shift the weight to the right, shift the weight to the left, and again it takes a wee bit of time to be able to get the strength, sufficient strength to do this in the hips. But this is called the Tai Chi figure of 8. Because what you want is a nice, soft, rounded movement. But you're just following the basic same movement principle of folding the hip joint and moving the pelvis backwards and forwards. But it feels as though you're making like a figure of 8 movement. And what this does is it helps to strengthen the hips, but also helps to stretch the ligaments and the tendons in this area of the body. So some very powerful ligaments in this part of the body, and this helps to stretch and strengthen them as well. But also, key thing here is the connection with the ground, feeling the feet on the floor. When you first start to do these exercises, you'll feel it in the thighs and you'll feel it in the knees.